Okay guys, welcome to this video on simple hacks to level up your sleep and basically how to optimize your sleep as best as possible. Now, through the journey of getting in shape, getting fitter, getting stronger, optimizing your performance and optimizing your health, sleep is almost like the foundation of all of this. What sleep does, it optimizes the recovery. Now, the quicker we and better we recover, the more energy levels we're going to have the next day, the better cognitive function, better hormonal health, less cravings. So you can see there it's almost like the root foundation of a lot of the causes of things like illnesses, diseases, cravings, lack of an inability to switch off and relax. So there's so much value in getting your sleep organized. All right, this is what we're going to dive into tonight. It's a simple strategy to help you guys understand the different stages of sleep, how it impacts your body, and then a strategy that you can use to actually put in place to help optimize your own sleep. Okay. So as we see, the main kind of struggles that we often see with clients is that you struggle to get to sleep. Maybe it just takes you, a bit of time to get to sleep. So when you do close your eyes, you're maybe looking at your eyelids for, a couple of hours, and it's not an enjoyable process. Some people even dread going to sleep because of this whole struggle of trying to get to sleep. People's sleep is broken. All right, this is what we often see. Your sleep is broken, i.e. that you wake up quite a lot through the night. Some days you wake up and you can't get back to sleep, which is annoying. You wake up like you feel you've had a night out, you feel kind of hungover, sluggish through the day, and then because of this, it all impacts things like your energy levels, and then brings on things like cravings and other side effects as well. Then you end up eating foods that don't benefit you, then you feel worse and kind of beat yourself up for it. So it kind of goes into this, almost like this negative cycle, doesn't it? And then almost like the next day you're stressing about it and you're probably lying in bed thinking about it a lot. So therefore, it's never out of your head fully. So you're kind of repeating this process of struggling with what's going on, and it's causing you a lot of grief in terms of your routine and your habits, and also you are struggling to switch off and get it out of your brain. So you're struggling to go to sleep. So it's almost like this negative cycle, and this is kind of where this whole process is repeated. So fundamentally, like why this is, and kind of the two sides of the nervous system here. We've got the parasympathetic state, and then we've got the sympathetic state. So our parasympathetic state is almost like the rest and digest state of the nervous system. This is where we are in a state of recovery. Everything's been optimized and we're relaxed, and we are recovering. So this is where our heart rate decreases, digestive system is starting to function properly, our body is resting in a state of rest and digest, and almost the saliva is increasing as well. All right, now when we have saliva, we have digestive enzymes, so therefore our digestive system is absorbing those nutrients and processing those nutrients that we're consuming. Then we have our sympathetic dominant state. So this is almost like our fight or flight nervous system state. Now this is where the majority of people live on a sort of 24-hour period, is in this fight or flight state. This fight or flight state is triggered from past experiences of trauma, current traumas, also just being consistently stressed all the time, anxious. Maybe we've got a lot of pressure on us. There's so many things here that the sympathetic dominant state is triggered by. This is where our heart rate increases, okay, so because we are in our kind of fight or flight, our stress levels are higher, our adrenaline levels are higher, blood flow diverts in the digestive system to the limbs, because that's where we need it most, because we're either going to run away or fight, and things like saliva decrease because of the change in sort of blood levels in the body. All right, so this is kind of why this happens. Now, obviously, if you are in a fight or flight state and your saliva is decreasing, guess what's going to happen to the digestion as well? You're probably going to feel you're going to be in a position where you're not digesting your food, maybe feeling a bit bloated and things. So you can see right away that there's two sides of the nervous system. This is what I want to educate you on tonight. It's like to become aware of these two sides, because you can start to see where you're transitioning from one side to the other. And this will be the main cause of you not being able to sleep. All right, when you can tap into that parasympathetic state, then this is where you're going to be in that rest and digest side of things. Whereas in that sympathetic dominant state, you're going to find it very hard to switch off and struggle to increase the sleep quality. So if we look at your day, this is kind of what I want you to do, a bit of a analysis, we'll call it that, of your day, and to see whether you're in your parasympathetic dominant state or your sympathetic dominant state. We'll call it recovered and less stressed and stressed, okay? Let's say you wake up and you have to deal with your kids. Like, you have to get them ready, Then they brush your teeth, eat their breakfast. It's quite a stressful thing, isn't it? Yeah, no one wants to do it. So there's are you living in your parasympathetic or your sympathetic dominant state? Are you relaxed or are you stressed? Probably stressed. Then you commute to work. Because you're probably stressed in the morning, that commute becomes stressful. Again, you kind of see what you're looking for and you see what you're experiencing, don't you? So probably stressed. Then you work, all right? Now, regardless of what your work is, it is a stressor on the body. It's requiring you to concentrate. It's requiring you to use your cognitive function, you know, do your physical activity. So there is a stressed state in there. Then you commute home, all right? Then you train. Again, both of these are sympathetic dominant states, all right? So basically let's say you're commuting home and it's a bit stressful, and then you train. Obviously your heart rate's been elevated, you're pushing yourself, so there is a stress state of the nervous system being activated there. Then you get home, you have to put your kids to bed, deal with the life admin side of things. That's probably a bit stressful as well. And then you sit and eat. What happens there? This is where you're probably most relaxed. All right, so you sit to eat, you get your digestive system starts flowing again, and then you relax. So if you look at the percentage of your day here, you can see that there's a huge percentage spent in that sympathetic dominant state. So it's no wonder that when we come home from work, or we would finish off at, like, say, 6 p.m, and we start to relax, guess what happens? Our digestive system starts firing again, our saliva starts firing again. Guess what? Then come the cravings, because the digestive system's starting to do things again. And this is where we often crave those things later in the evening, that sugar rush and things, because it's our body's trying to get us to, it's all day we've been smashed by sympathetic dominant state, so then our bodies are needing something to change the state of the nervous system. And what the body will do is it will go and look for, let's say, it'll trigger you to go and look for, say, chocolate or, you know, sugar or whatever it is, to quick fix something because of the stress that you've been experiencing through the day. Very interesting, isn't it? All right, now you can start to see the correlation of why we struggle to sleep, can't you? So let's talk about different stages of sleep first and how we can then stimulate the parasympathetic dominant state here. Okay, so we have 5 different actually stages of the sleep. We have the latency. Latency basically means the amount of time it's taking you to get to sleep. Okay, so this data here is actually taken from my Aura Ring. Okay, so this is my own live data. So latency is the amount of time it takes you to fall asleep. Okay, now obviously the quicker you fall asleep, the longer you're in a sleep cycle for, and obviously the more recovered you're going to be. Anywhere between sort of 30 minutes is 0 to 30 minutes is optimal. If you're going longer than that, then obviously you need to do a bit of work before you get into bed to try and improve that quality reduce the actual latency itself. Then you've got awake. Now, believe it or not, you're actually awake for a large part of your sleep cycles. It's the normal, healthy rhythm of your sleep cycles. We always think that when we go to sleep, we should just stay asleep completely. Now, sleep cycles will last for roughly 90 minutes. So we'll go through the different stages, up and down, up and down, up and down, and then you'll kind of hit that lighter stage towards the sort of later end of the early part of the morning, if you want to call it that. Then you've got REM, which is rapid eye movement. This is mostly the dreaming stages of your sleep. Now, this is important as well, as a percentage of your sleep. As you can see, mine is quite low for that evening. Mine's roughly about sort of 10 to 15% on average. That was quite low that time. Now, REM is important for things like cognitive function, memory, just an ability to kind of problem solve, quickly kind of piece things together. So REM is a huge important factor of sleep, and it helps you metabolize certain things as well. Then you've got light sleep and then deep sleep. So light sleep, again, another phase of the sleep cycle, important for things like recovery. And deep sleep, this is where the deep recovery side of things go on. Okay, now deep sleep will reduce as you age. So, you know, if you're, like, say, in your 30s, it may be slightly higher. If you're in your 40s, it will be less, 50s less and things. So don't be alarmed if that number or that percentage is less. However, we can optimize things to get you to be sleeping a lot better, and, you know, increasing the quality of each of these sections of sleep, or each of these stages of sleep. Okay, so just going to give a bit of an overview of what the different sleep stages are, and, you know, what they do as such, because again, that's important to understand, like, you know, what each part of the sleep cycle will benefit you, and kind of maybe where you're lacking in terms of your sleep cycle. Again, if you don't track your sleep, you can get lots of apps for free that do it. I have an Aura Ring. I used to wear a Fitbit, but I don't like wearing a Fitbit to bed. Fitbits, Apple Watches, Whoop bands as well. They're really good. They're probably one of the better ones, aside from the Aura Ring. So yeah, maybe get yourself one of those. So why do we struggle to fall asleep then? Okay, like I talked about, we are mostly spending our time in our sympathetic dominant state. All right, now it takes a bit of time. If you think how long you've spent in that, and maybe you've got some other stuff that's going on in your life that's maybe causing you to stay in your sympathetic dominant state, you will find it very, very hard to switch off. Your body will be tense. Your everything will be tight in terms of muscles. You'll be holding your certain parts of your body in a really tight manner. You'll be in your head quite a lot. You'll be kind of anxious, fidgety, inability to relax and things. This is kind of where you know that your sympathetic dominant state is activated. So how do we activate the parasympathetic state, which is obviously the rest and digest state? The biggest thing here is stimulating the vagus nerve. Okay, now the vagus nerve is probably one of the main nerves in the body, responsible for things like your oxygen regulation, digestion, heart rate, respiratory rate as well. So stimulating the vagus nerve is the quickest and pretty much the only way to transition from a stress state into a relaxed state. So how do we stimulate the vagus nerve then? Okay, so first thing you want to do is kind of create a bit of a morning routine. Everything starts from the moment you wake up. Okay, so believe it or not, it's really weird. Like if you, let's say you have your alarm go off and you constantly snooze your alarm, that actually affects your sleep cycles. Okay, because your body's not getting used to waking up at an exact time. Your body's very clever. It will create its own natural body clock. So if you go and skew the body clock, i.e. just decide to have a lie-in one morning and then you get up very early the next day, then you have a lie-in the next day, you're creating an inconsistent routine. Your body will try and adapt it because your body needs a routine. So if you consistently wake up at the same time each morning, then that allows the body to adjust to that new routine, and it will help you stay more awake in the day. It'll help you to sleep in the late in the evening, like from that morning. So I'd recommend it's like having a routine of you when you wake up and when you go to sleep. That's the first thing you've got to optimize. And the amount of people I speak to who get up at inconsistent times and then go to bed at really inconsistent times, it's like, right, that's your first protocol to fix. No supplements, no fancy woo stuff, no plants that are going to talk to you before bed, no like meditation sticks. It's just get to bed at the right time and wake up at the same time. Do that for 5 days in a row, and I can guarantee by day 5 you'll feel a lot better. So, creating a morning routine. It all starts with the morning. So I would suggest as soon as your alarm goes off, you get out of bed. Now I'm not talking about just like, mull it around, look on your phone. I'm talking about leap out of bed. And what this will do is it will stimulate cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And stress hormone is what we need to kind of keep us awake through the day. So that's what I'd recommend. And I guarantee you'll have a lot more energy through the day by doing this as well. Breathing and meditation upon waking, right? So if you naturally wake up in a stress state, guess what we got to do? We've got to try and calm that nervous system before you go into the day. You know what it's like? You know when you wake up for work and you're really late? I mean, it's a long time since I've done that. When you wake up for work and you're really late, you get up, you're really stressed, you're anxious, it goes into your day. So if you're constantly waking up in that state, or to some degree of that state, guess what's going to happen to your day? So if you wake up that little bit earlier and take some time to meditate and breathe and do some journaling and just plan ahead of your day, just take a bit of time to kind of control your morning, you've won the day already because you go into the rest of your day in a controlled state because you've won your day. You'll notice that when you do this, you'll have just a bit of an edge on you. You'll be a kind of step ahead of everyone else. Everyone else will be a bit sleepy and a bit moany, and you'll be the one who's got a step ahead of you. So what I'd recommend is breath work, meditation upon waking. I do this religiously every single morning for about 10 minutes. Complete a task for your needs. So that may be like, getting your hydration in check. It may be doing your workout. It may be going for a morning walk. It may be listening to an audiobook like I do. So something that is a task for your needs, not your work's needs, not your kids' needs, not your partner's needs, your needs. All right, this is your chance to really self-care here. And then plan ahead for your day. All right, so just take that. If it's 30 minutes you do this in, this is how long it takes me. I get up, do a meditation, breath work, and then I usually sip on my electrolytes, listen to my audiobook, and then I plan the rest of my day. And that's me 30 minutes. All right, so 30 minutes as a morning routine would be optimal there. All right, even just by doing that, you can guarantee you'll make a big change here. All right, next part here is creating an evening routine. Okay, so pretty much the opposite. So like I said, it's all about optimizing routines here. Okay, so we've got here the 3-2-1 rule. So 3 hours before bed, we recommend that you finish your last meal. The reason being is because we want your body to be in a state of rest and digest. All right, so actually processing the foods, not having foods sitting in your stomach when you're trying to relax. Now, what we also see as well is that people who eat later in the evening, or closer to the bedtime window often have a higher resting heart rate reading in the morning, meaning that the body's still in a sort of a stressed to some degree state, because you're trying to digest your food when you're going to be sleeping. Then we've got 2 hours before work. 2 hours before you go to sleep is no work. Flight mode is activated, notifications off, so you're completely tuning out. All right, at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Now, I'm sort of the biggest hypocrite with this because I'd work sometimes right up until 5 minutes before I go to bed. But I also have like blue light blocking glasses. I have protocols in place, like supplementation things that allows me to do that. And because I'm optimizing a lot of my routines around my health, I'm able to get to a position where I can actually work 5 minutes before I go to bed, jump into bed, and have the best quality sleep. But that all comes from every other routine that's optimized around this. So, you can get to a place where you can do things like this, but as long as you're working towards creating that initially, then you should be all right. So 2 hours before bed, like I said, no work, flight mode on, notifications off. I love waking up and having my phone and no notifications. For the first like 2 hours, I'm in deep work, I'm doing my stuff, and it's great. And then I turn flight mode off after 2 hours. It's brilliant. Whereas before, I remember I used to feel really, really stressed. I wake up, flight mode's off straight away. I'm answering emails, text messages, whatever it is I'm answering, and it just kind of sets my day a bit wrong. Then 1 hour before bed, no screen time. Dim the lights everywhere as well. Start to create that melatonin experience. Now, what I mean by this is melatonin is the hormone that we secrete towards the evening. Okay, it's created in the pituitary gland, where majority of hormones are made. And also, what it does, it helps wind down the body. All right, so it kind of reduces blood sugar levels. It promotes the recovery sort of systems in the body. Start winding you down. So if you've got a big blue light screen looking at your eyes for just before you go into bed, then guess what? Melatonin production is going to be somewhat affected there. That's why I like my blue light blocking glasses, and a lot of people terrorize me for them because they're like proper orange lenses. So I'll put them on if it's later in the evening. Then there's breathing and meditation. Okay, so again, you can do the exact same thing here. What this will do is it will calm the nervous system. It will promote a higher HRV, which is heart rate variability, and also reduce the resting heart rate. So when you go into bedtime, guess what? Your latency is going to be a lot less, and you will find that you'll get to that recovery status a lot quicker when you're sleeping. And then journaling and positively influencing memos. Okay, now the power of journaling is incredible, especially if you're trying to change a limiting belief that you're maybe living with. You're trying to recondition yourself. For example, something I did was a 30-day challenge about all the things that I achieved that day that I was proud of. I'm hugely harsh on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. So something I really wanted to change. And often what happened is I'd be lying in bed at night thinking of all the things that I've not achieved versus the things that I have achieved. So this was a big thing for me. It was a 30-day challenge. It was set from my previous life coach. And it was write down 3 things that I've achieved that day that I'm proud of. Man, that was tough. First couple of days, I was like, what am I proud of? But after a while, I got really used to it. So that can really get you out your head as well, especially if you're trying to go to sleep and you've got a lot of things on your mind. Then creating a better sleep environment. All right, this is probably one of the biggest ones that does help here. In terms of just like things you can do instantly, all right, while you're working on the other stuff. So blackout curtains, like blinds and blackout curtains, if you've got them, make the room like a cave, all right, so it's proper dark. Guarantee the sleep will be just a lot better just from that as well. You'll wake up a lot less. Keep the room cool, so 18 degrees. I mean, that is a struggle in the summer, obviously, but if you've got a fan, then fantastic. A firm mattress as well, especially if you share a bed with somebody. You don't want to be like on a bouncy castle if they're moving around. Especially if your kids get into bed at night, and most of ours do. It's a bit annoying, but hey, that's the way it works. And then also look at Lumi clocks. So Lumi clocks are clocks that rise in terms of their light and the sunrise, and then dim in terms of the light and in terms of sunset. So you can actually set it at different times of the day. We have one that's fantastic, and then it dims down at specific times, and then in the morning, let's say our alarm is set for say 4:30 or 5, it'll start to get lighter in the room gradually about half an hour before, and it's just a really non-invasive, alarming way to wake up, instead of like whatever the iPhone alarm is. So it's pretty horrendous. All right, so there we go. So like I said, the tactics here and the sort of the protocols here are nice and simple. Okay, so start off with your morning and evening routines. All right, that is your first thing. Keeping your bedtime and evening, your wake up time, your bedtime windows the same. like especially like across the week, 5 days a week at least. Obviously, the weekend is a little bit different, but try not to sleep in any longer than an hour, because then you just skew your hard work after you've just done it over 5 days. And then try and keep your eating routines the same as well. Okay. So I say, any questions, just comment below, and hopefully this has been helpful for you guys to understand the benefits of sleeping. But this is something that really help fix the root cause of a lot of things, especially cravings, digestive issues, stress as well, inability to focus, just pushing yourself. So all these things be kind of fixed by just optimizing sleep. So even if you pick one thing from this, try it out, see how you get on with it, and let us know.